Saturday, we talked about case studies tied to discovery, or if you will, the failures of not discovering enough. We looked at a lot of startups, we looked at enterprise product launches, many of which failed because of a lack of discovery in many ways. Now, let's talk about success stories, some case studies from startups and from enterprise product launches, just like on Saturday, but the reverse. Now, because we looked at some of the biggest successes, you're going to recognize probably all of these names I'm going to tell you, but you might not know the type of discovery that made them successful. The reason I'm really pushing on discovery is tied to not just that diagnostic, but also to the solution and roadmap. Every one of your teams did really well in the team presentation built for discovery, probably because of the mapping exercise that halfway through the course that got you there. So let's get into the methodology behind the research on this for just a couple minutes to make sure we all can be on the same page. First, you might be interested to know if you want to divide up discovery success in these use cases, in these case studies, excuse me, there are three main areas that really show discovery as the main contributing factor for success: direct user engagement, testing or validation, and data analysis. Direct user engagement was 56% of all of these success case studies. Testing validation was 22%, and data analysis was 22%. I'll get into specific case studies that touch those as we move along. Let's talk about the rest of the methodology. Research on these case studies came from a lot of different areas: founder interviews, academic reviews, industry reports, books and frameworks like Eric Riez's Lean Startup, books and tech blog magazines. Looking at, a few years ago, it's changed today. You go to Crunchbase, TechCrunch, others, you could find a lot of this information. ResearchGate and PMC, CB Insights as well, and then some AWS case studies, leading startup company resources, and then some specialized sites like Dev Squad, Django Stars, University Lab Partners. On podcast interviews, NPR's How I Built This. I had a couple very interesting ones. And then The One Device by Bryant Merchant also goes through some of the history of a specific company we're going to look at. So let's jump in to how the research was done. First, a lot of targeted query formulation and search based on customer discovery, MVP, user feedback, and then specific queries tied to surfaced compilations from Dev Squad academic sites, from Proc School, Maze, AWS. Then there's a lot of kind of triangulation or validation, if you will, on research: leanstartup.co, Harvard Business Review, CB Insights, looking at do we get the right discovery type information, or is this just kind of publicly known information off of secondary sources? Kind of filtering down to primary sources, cases where founders and teams explicitly used methods like surveys, interviews. They used betas, data analysis. How did they make sure they had product market fit? In other words, on the discovery or pre-product discovery. Quantifiable impact, looking at proven outcomes. Valuations is one of those out of Crunchbase. And then what kind of diversity balance did they have? Balanced tech, consumer, enterprise. A lot of this was post the year 2000. And then trying to mitigate bias in all this research to draw from all these different types of sources made a big difference. Ready to start? First off, startup case: Airbnb, 2008 launch, valued at over $100 billion. Survived the pandemic, by the way, which some of us weren't sure how they were going to survive. Discovery: founders rented out air mattresses during a conference and iterated into a global home sharing platform after validating demand for affordable local accommodations. Their discovery notes: conducted in-person user interviews, lived with early hosts and guests to pinpoint pain points and help bookings under high-demand event circumstances, revealing desires for authentic, personalized stays. That's kind of going a long way in discovery, to live with hosts and guests. Can you imagine that conversation? Hey, I'm here to do some research and discovery for our startup. Oh, great. Yeah. You want to ask me a couple questions? No. I want to live with you for a while. Dropbox, 2008 launch, valued over $10 billion, started as a file syncing tool that grew via viral sharing after a demo video exploded in signups. The discovery keys released a minimal viable product. You'll hear that a lot on startups and products. A video to tech forums for feedback, validating user frustration with file storage under remote work circumstances, confirming demand for seamless syncing without full build. I always say, don't build the product out all the way first. Build your market out and then build a product to the market. Whenever you talk to a startup or a pilot, internal proof of concept, and they go back to working on the product, that's the wrong approach. There's discovery missing somewhere, and usually they work on products from something in their head that they want to visualize instead of validating against the market. Slack. Everyone here use Slack at some level, at some point. $27 billion acquisition launched in 2013. They pivoted from being a gaming company to team communication after an internal tool gained traction. They were building a gaming company, and they built an internal tool for team communication, and that became their pivot to what they actually did. Fun story. Discovery, they analyzed internal team usage data and conducted surveys on collaboration pain points under distributed work circumstances, identifying needs for integrated messaging that reduced email overload. Very interesting. I think generationally, we all have our opinions of Slack. I love Slack myself. Speaking of something I use a lot, Uber. 2009 launch. That was 16 years ago. Have we had Uber for 16 years? Valuation at 120 billion plus. They revolutionized ride hailing by matching drivers and riders via app after testing in San Francisco. Their key discovery: founders interviewed potential users on taxi inefficiencies under urban mobility circumstances, validating demand for on-demand, cashless rides with real-time tracking. Now we just kind of assume it's there, right? Number 5, Spotify, 2008 launch, $70 billion plus valuation. Who here is a Spotify user? Why are you in Spotify instead of Amazon Music? Others, well, that's up to you. You want to share it, you want to use it. Music streaming service that personalized playlist after beta testing in Europe. Their discovery: they ran closed betas and user feedback loops to understand listening habits under fragmented music access circumstances, pinpointing desires for ad-free, algorithm-driven recommendations. It just fits, doesn't it? When I say closed betas, know that that's a painful process. If you run a closed beta, you're basically asking for all the reasons why your stuff sucks. Good for Spotify. Zoom, 2011 launch, $100 billion plus valuation, especially after pandemic. They really rode the pandemic wave, but they were waiting for 9 years before the pandemic happened with limited traction. Think about it. This is where you have the iceberg analogy. Everyone sees the success when it happens, but underneath that tip of the iceberg, under the surface of the water, is where a massive amount of effort occurred. Video conferencing tool that scaled during COVID after focusing on reliability. Their discovery: founder Eric Ewan interviewed enterprise users on video call frustrations under remote meeting circumstances, validating needs for simple, high-quality connections without tech hurdles. Hey, when you have to be remote, use Zoom. Instagram, 2010 launch, 15 years on the gram, $1 billion plus acquisition. It's a photo sharing app that pivoted from check-in service to filters and feeds. The discovery: they analyzed user behavior data from early prototypes under social sharing circumstances, identifying preferences for visual editing and quick uploads over location features. In other words, they started from scratch. They didn't try to emulate or copy other social platforms. They started from scratch with a different idea in mind. It ended up with something that was a companion and now a member of the Meta family. Canva. You know, Canva's been here 12 years, and now they're valued at over $40 billion. Drag and drop design tool that democratized graphics for non-designers. Hey, I'm a non-designer. Effective discovery: their founder, Melanie Perkins, surveyed small business owners on design tool gaps under budget constraints, validating demand for intuitive templates and collaboration features. Put it on the cloud, easy to share, easy to edit. Who doesn't like Canva, right? Stripe, 2010 launch, $100 billion plus valuation. Payment processing platform that simplified online transactions for developers. And this is interesting. Stripe is quite an interesting case study for a couple of reasons. One, they proved, and they've been proved time and time again, all the bigs have followed them in this specific valley. They proved that if you can handle financial transactions, you can always get a piece of the pie, whatever you deal with, and you can make a ton of revenue just based off of usage. This was a back end tool. This is something that developers heard about. Stripe wasn't out advertising the same way as PayPal and others to consumers. They were going to all the systems people, and the systems people, they made it easy for them. The systems people used them because they knew the systems people were building the systems all those consumers were going to use. PayPal was late to the train for this one. They did a lot of developer interviews and beta tests, payment integration pains under e-commerce growth circumstances, pinpoint needs for easy APIs, and fraud detection. Final startup, $20 billion plus valuation, Pinterest. They've been around 15 years. Visual discovery engine that grew via user-curated boards. Effective discovery, early user testing, and analytics revealed bookmarking habits under inspiration-seeking circumstances, validating the pinboard model for personalized content curation. You use Pinterest in all sorts of different ways, but it's all about personalizing and your own curated content. Let's talk about enterprises that launched a product that was very successful. We've got 10 of these here. It'll be very interesting. First off, Apple iPhone. I'm on it right now to record this. It's better than my Apple MacBook, better than many other things. Launched in 2007. The iPhone's been around 18 years. It's worth trillions in revenue now. It transformed mobile phones into smartphones with touchscreen and apps, dominating the market. The effective discovery, Steve Jobs' team interviewed users on device frustrations under daily multitasking circumstances, validating desires for intuitive interfaces and internet integration. The simplified is they built a computer that fits in your pocket. That's not how they advertised it. Amazon AWS, Amazon Web Services, now valued at over $100 billion. Most people in the early days, they looked at Google, well, it's a search tool. They looked at Amazon, where they're kind of this logistics shipping. No, they were the two largest cloud server acquisition build companies. They ended up building server farms from scratch after they bought quite a few because they were just trying to grow that fast. Everyone was like, why do you need that much server just to be a search engine tool or to be an e-commerce platform? No, their vision was much, much deeper than that, and they hooked a massive part of the market. Cloud computing service that started as an internal infrastructure and became an industry standard. A little bit like Slack, they used internally and realized, oh, hey, you know what? We think we do this better than the rest of the world. Maybe we should make this another product. The discovery, they analyzed internal developer needs, surveyed enterprises on hosting pains under scaling circumstances, pinpointing demand for flexible pay-as-you-go servers. At the beginning, it was an idea no one had thought of. And it was such a good idea that Microsoft Azure and others that copied the idea are massive successes as well. Netflix, here we are, 18 years old, $250 billion plus valuation, shifted from DVD rentals to on-demand video, pioneering binge watching. Do you realize we've been binge watching for less than 20 years? That's hard to believe. That's a generational curse or something like that. I don't know. Data analysis of rental patterns and user surveys on viewing habits under broadband adoption circumstances, validating preferences for instant ad-free content libraries. Remember that day way back a long time ago when we started to have broadband internet and we could do more? Yeah. Microsoft Teams. A lot of you are on Microsoft Teams. I have my own thoughts about it, but it has been very successful. 8 years old, billions in users. It's a collaboration platform to integrate chat, video, and files, rivals Slack. They acquired SharePoint and they built it out. enterprise customer interviews on remote work tools under productivity circumstances, identifying needs for seamless integration with the Office suite. And they got it. Now it feels like it's always been there. Google Gmail, 2004 launch, 1 plus billion users. Who got a Google Gmail account in 2004? I did. Who regrets the username they used? I did. I don't know why. I used my last name and a couple other pieces. I could have kept it simple. I had all these options. Why, David? Why? 1 billion plus users. It's an email service with massive storage that disrupted webmail. Their discovery, user feedback on storage limits under growing attachment circumstances, validating demand for searchable, unlimited inboxes without deletions. We're pack rats in the digital space. IBM Watson, 2011 launch, billions in AI revenue. The AI platform for data analysis that expanded into healthcare and finance. Their discovery, they partner with industries for pilot tests on decision-making pains under big data circumstances, pinpointing applications for predictive analytics. Insider hint, it wasn't called AI back in 2011. It was math and logic. And Watson was pretty good at it. They're falling behind on the AI right now, but they're figuring it out. Adobe Creative Cloud, 2013 launch. Oh, hold on. When did Canva come out? 2013. Interesting. 15 billion plus annual revenue. That's a subscription model for design software that replaced virtual licenses or perpetual licenses. The discovery was they surveyed creative professionals on update frustrations under freelance circumstances. Incidentally, more freelance users than anybody else. This is a big part of the gig economy. They validated user preferences for cloud-based access and constant improvements. 3 more. Salesforce CRM, launched in 1999. Wow, those 2 big towers in Silicon Valley. $250 billion plus valuation. It's a cloud-based computer relationship management that pioneered subscription as a service. Did you know it came from Salesforce? That's right. Every time you see those 3 little boxes offering something, hey, pay us $0 a month, pay us $10 a month, pay us $2,000 a month, thank Salesforce for that. Their discovery, founder Mark Benioff interviewed sales teams on-premise software pains under mobility circumstances, identifying needs for accessible, customizable platforms. This wasn't about getting to a mobile app, but it was about being in touch when you're selling outside. Tesla Model S. Did you know we've had Teslas for 13 years now? And billions in sales. The electric sedan that accelerated EV adoption with long range and performance. The discovery was that they tested prototypes on luxury car buyers under sustainability circumstances, validating desires for high performance batteries and autopilot features. They were working on autopilot since 2012. And yet I was in a Waymo just the other day. You know how much conversation you get to have with no one else in the car, not even a driver? For me, probably too much. Final, Disney Plus. We've had Disney Plus since 2019. They have 150 million plus subscribers. It's a streaming service with exclusive content that competed with Netflix. By the way, Disney Plus was not the only competitor. They waited and waited until they thought they got it right. The discovery they did, they analyzed family viewing data and surveys on content fragmentation under cord-cutting circumstances, pinpointing demand for bundled Marvel, Star Wars libraries at affordable prices. And there you have it. You have a significant amount of information, 20 use cases, 10 startups, 10 enterprise. All right, let's go back to our 3 main types of discovery that were successful. Direct user engagement, 56% of the time. Airbnb, Uber, Zoom, Canva, iPhone, Teams, Salesforce. Interesting case studies, but direct user engagement. There's nothing that competes with raw market feedback from the people that actually will pay you and will use your stuff. Testing validation, 22%. Dropbox, Spotify, Stripe, Watson, Model S. And finally, data analysis, 22%. Slack, Instagram, Pinterest, AWS, Netflix, and Disney Plus. You notice a trend? That direct user engagement was critical for all the first movers in the market, and they did it well enough initially and ongoing to be successful throughout. That data analysis, that was a big part of um, those who were honestly second movers or adjacent movers. And then those testing evaluation validation ones, those were kind of both, if you will. There you have it. Some successful case studies on discovery, why we love discovery first, second, and always in the innovation world. It's been a pleasure to be a professor for EMBA 809, Digital Transformation for Executives. I hope this class has been as much of a learning and growing experience for you as it has for me.